Today we're going to be having a look at Shadow Sableye in the Open Great League. Sableye got buffed this season with Dazzling Gleam, and we're going to be looking at buffed Lapras and buffed Dusk Noir. These Pokemon are much improved this season, and we're going to see if this team kind of works out. The sort of thinking behind this team is similar to Azu Double Ghost. We have a Pokemon in the lead here which is actually kind of weak to counter, so it's a little bit different, but it has very similar coverage to Azu. It is weak to fighting, and we have two sort of Ghost Fast moves in the back, so that's kind of the thinking behind this team. I think this team could work out, but I personally think instead of Dusk Noir, you want to have Ape because it's a lot less weak to Morpeko. But anyway, welcome in everybody, hope you're all having a fantastic day. Let me know what you're thinking about the new season, drop a like in the video, subscribe, and let's hop on into the battles here. So I decide, you know what? Shadow Sableye, we're going to full send the Dazzling Gleam. The opponent absolutely shits themselves. We're going to come into Lapras here, try to catch the move. I think this should be the Mud Bomb potentially. They do go for Mud Bomb once again. For some reason they're on Mud Bomb with this Quag. This season, Lapras got access to Sparkling Aria and Psywave, which is a massive improvement for this Pokemon. At this point, they farm me all the way down. I'm going to come in and go for a CMP tie with my Sableye. I did not want to give up this energy earlier because the opponent does seem to be quite weak to it in the back. We CMP here, and the opponent comes into a Scizor. Now, thankfully, the opponent's not on Night Slash. If they were on Night Slash, this match could be getting a little bit close, but Sableye with this faster, more improved pacing is able to outpace to the X-Scissor. If we catch the move on Dusk Noir just for disrespect, we farm all the way down, and that's good games. So I think in the season update, these two Pokemon are probably two of the biggest winners, Lapras and Sableye. Sableye, I think, is a top tier save swap now. I think it's probably top meta at this point. In comes Clefable. Once again, we're going to outpace here. They do go for Meteor Mash. Meteor Mash will very close to knock me out. As you can see, we do take it. I decide to go for the Dazzling Gleam, which I don't think knocks them out, but they do decide to respect it. So, you know, either way, you can get a shield down, shield advantage. You can land heavy damage. Sableye's doing a lot of good stuff out here now. With the Foul Play being straight 5 now, if you're ahead by a Shadow Claw, you can beat Feraligatr in any even shielding scenario basically, which is amazing. Anyway, Clefable here, we're going to farm all the way up to the next Moonblast. I think I actually farm up just before they get to the Meteor Mash, which is neutral. We look to take them out with the Sparkling Aria. The opponent comes back in here with their Lapras, and then they end up coming into a Jump Bluff. Now, Shadow Dusk Noir is not to be slept on as well. This Pokemon's got very high fast move pressure, and it has really interesting coverage now, with Shadow Punch and Dynamic Punch, very similar to Golurk. We could run a team with this and Golurk, just to kind of be funny with Shadow Punch, Dynamic Punch in both Pokemon, but I do quite like having the Astonish here. It's a little bit more, I think, neutral and Mudslap, especially into matchups like this. It's very nice to have Astonish, of course. I come in here, just come in and just basically take the move. This can end up sort of costing me here. They do go for the Ace. We farm them all the way down. We get off a move on the opponent's Lapras. The question is, are we going to be able to make enough moves here? The opponent's Lapras is really healthy, so what we actually do here is give them a massive farm down, and I think that was actually a lose con, going for that catch. Had I committed to the farm down with my own Lapras, or, you know, just sort of let them take me out, the opponent would not have been getting this big farm, and I think he actually might have been able to make the move, so a bit of a misplay there. We do make a catch, but sometimes you have to think about the consequence that's going to happen after. As you lead, Lapras beats this in even shielding scenarios, and I am actually kind of curious. I'm going to be a PvPoke Andy here. Let's have a look here. Shadow Sableye versus Azu. I dare say you win the twos. We're going to have a quick look here. You definitely don't win the 0 shield. You don't win the 1 shield either. I dare say you might win the 2 shield here, which is really interesting. Shadow Claws do a lot of damage. Let's have a quick look. We actually do win the 2 shield, but the looks of things going Foul Play, and then Dazzling Gleam. I wonder if you don't beat. I'm sure you can probably get away with not beating because, of course... Yeah, so we actually win the 2 shield with Sableye versus Azu, just straight Dazzling Gleam, which is amazing. That is Shadow. Non-Shadow, I'll have a quick look at here. Let's have a quick look. It just about wins as well. That's baiting, so if you bait, you win. I'm sure you can just full send as well. So that's really interesting to see. Sableye now an answer to Azu in the meta with that extra coverage. And of course, if you have any like straight up dark type Pokemon, Dazzling Gleam looking very nice for those. You have a super effective move for Annihilate. I really like Sableye in this meta. Anyway, the opponent's going to fire off some moves. I basically need to build up to back-to-back moves here with the Dusk Noir. Like I said, I really enjoyed this Pokemon. It's just very similar to a lot of Pokemon you've used already. It's not too dissimilar to like a Drifblim or a Golurk with Astonish. It's definitely a very, very cool option here. The opponent comes in with their Talonflame. If the opponent shields this, I just come in and go for Sparkling Aria, so the opponent can't really afford to shield it. We can 1-in for the Shadow Punch, and I don't decide to go for a swap here because if the opponent taps the move, you know, it could be a little bit awkward, so I just stay in, I can 1-in throw, I still survive an Incinerate, we get this move off, and by the looks of things, Daddy Dusk is going to sweep the battle. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. What do you think of Lapras? Is it overrated? Is it overhyped? Beyond the hype? You know, do we need to be beyond the hype on this Pokemon? I think it's probably just about well rated. I think it's just very consistent. I do imagine teams like Dugong, Lapras, right, Dugong to draw out the Ape or whatever. Ape. Or maybe Lapras to draw out the Ape, because it's got the coverage moves. I'm actually kind of curious as well. How well can Lapras do against Annihilape in the 2-shield? Probably not that great, considering they can just go straight Rage Fist. But I feel like you can get that really low, which might be a very good draw out for Annihilape. Let's have a quick look in the 2-shield here. Probably the Shadow Annihilape destroys it, but you only lose with a battle rating of 430, 500 being average, and they're actually left in 20 HP out of 137, so that's about, it's very low, 15% or something like that. They're really, really low after that, deep in the red, basically. So like, you're putting up a really good fight there. For some reason, PvPoke is stupid and goes for Ice Beam at one point in this matchup. I do wonder if you're up a few Psy Waves, can you beat it? You probably can beat it in the ones up some Psy Waves. So yeah, Lapras definitely could be a good draw out for Ape. Put them into a farm down range. Yeah, so if you're up a few Psy Waves, you win the 1 shield, which is cool. So that's really nice. Lapras being able to get you shield advantage in that matchup is very, very decent. And then you could maybe look to sweep with a Dugong or something. But I found it quite nice in the lead as well. There's not too many things that are hard countering it, because, like I said, super bulky. As you can see, this Pokemon right here, yeah, super effective discharge, but we've got super effective moves as well. Now, because I'm running an ABB style team, double ghost, I do want to swap out of here quite soon. We go into our Sableye, try to get an energy lead. I think it's really vital to get an energy lead with your Sableye, because of course it can look to beat the Gator. You can clap up Azus in the 2-shield. The opponent comes into Dragonair here. I foolishly only go for the foul play, but the opponent decides to shield it anyway. We were never making 2 moves there. That's perfectly fine. I can pretty much come in with Lapras. I think I might actually shield this, because I do sort of want to get rid of it. Dragon Breaths will look to destroy Dusknoir, so I'm pretty happy to try and get rid of it. I'm definitely expecting the opponent to go for a shield here, so this could be kind of tough, but thankfully the opponent lets it go. That does knock them out. Well, just about not. We farm it down. We come back in here with the Dusknoir, and the opponent's using Marowak. I think we're in a very good position here. I know that I can shield this because I can just basically farm them down before they reach a ghost move. So we farm it all the way down. We like to double tap the moves here. Stunfisk comes back in. They may shield the first one, but they're going to have to take the second one no matter what. That's good games well played. So as you can see, Dusk is sweeping games. Again, Annihilape I think probably will be a little bit better. Maybe even Drifblim could be a little bit better. I do think there are better options than Dusknoir. Whenever you look at PvPoke rankings, they basically give you the average of 0s to 1s, so that does not necessarily mean that the Pokemon are best in that position, so keep that in mind. PvPoke can be a little bit misleading with these Pokemon. I personally don't think Dusknoir is as good as Drifblim, Annihilape, or Sableye. Sableye, in my opinion, is definitely top meta. Okay, so the opponent's running a really funky team here. They've got a Shadow Ninetales. I decided to catch on my Sableye here, because basically the Rapidash built up to back-to-back wild charges, so I'm like, fuck, we're just going to get completely clapped up by wild charges. Can't really afford to shield. They come into Charizard here. I'm expecting a shield here at this point, because this will very close to knock them out. Does about 70% damage, and the opponent's actually I'm tongue-tied here. The opponent ends up throwing the move. I don't think they had to throw it. We come in with the Dusknoir, get a huge farm down, and I can basically just fast move pressure the whole team down at this point. Astonish being quite a ridiculous move, as you guys have seen over the last season or two. We can just farm shit down. I don't even have to try to call baits or call wild charges or anything. We just even get off 2 Shadow Punches will do the job. I could just farm it all the way down. But either way, this is good games. We come into Lapras, do some good timing here. Of course, trying to get 4 Psy Waves into their Incinerate before throwing. Good games well played. We knock out the Rapidash, and that's a very spicy team by the opponent. Here it is, Big Boy Grumpig. So the counts for Lapras are 12 to the Sparkling Aria and 14 to the Ice Beam. It's the exact same of this, 12 to the Dynamic Punch and 14 to the Shadow Ball. So Grumpig beats you pretty handily. Unfortunately, weren't able to catch anything. Shadow Ball does a huge amount of damage, and the opponent brings in their Dugong versus my Sableye. This is where you would definitely want Power Gem, but Dazzling Gleam does a lot of damage. If they let this free, I can start going foul play, so they decide to let that to shield it, of course. I'm only going to get off 1 hard-hitting move, so they might as well shield that big one. It is Dugong as well, they just shield everything. I'm expecting them to probably go drill run here. They could go for Icy Winds to try to lower my damage or whatever, but like it's kind of a shit move to go for. Like, it's double resisted against Lapras. Lapras is very bulky as well. I'm actually kind of curious, Lapras, Dugong, which one's bulkier? Lapras has got 104 attack, Dugong's got 102.8, 113 defense on Lapras, 133 on Dugong, 179 HP, 158 on Dugong. So Lapras has got more HP, but Dugong's got a better defense stat. So quite an interesting one, and Lapras will win CMB there. Lapras, I like the stat distribution on Lapras for sure. It's definitely very, very good. Anyway, what's happening here? We're punching something. We're punching the Credilli. Okay, the opponent actually made a very nice call there. They call that they won't go for the dynamic punch, and they call that they'll survive. Credillia, of course, got the buff this season, and we're pretty happy with this. Of course, the opponent's going to debuff me, but I can live any move here. Drill Run wouldn't have even knocked me out. Drill Run only does marginally more than Icy Wind, so you know, you might as well just go Icy Wind most of the time, unless you're, of course, in these situations. So yeah, it's going to be good games. With this team, we went 4-1-5-0. It's very early season, so it's pretty difficult to tell. I think this team could potentially be good against the main Great League meta, but this is one of your biggest core breakers right here. This is why I think you pretty much need to have Annihilate instead of Dusk Noir. You need two answers to this thing. You know, at the very least, you need to be able to come in to Annihilate to force the Drapion out into maybe Azu or something, and then at that point, Lapras is so good into Azu, because Drapion and Azu are so commonly paired together. Lapras is so good into there that you can just get a ton of energy, come out with a Sparkling Aria for the Drapion, maybe overfarm a lot and be able to make two moves there. That way you can sort of flip it around and see what I can deal with it later on. Even though resisted the side waves will add up. So that is one thing. I think you just basically need a third Pokemon in this team. That's basically going to force the Drapion out and give you an energy lead with Lapras. Anyway, the opponent comes into this bad boy. It almost gets one shot by the Dazzling Gleam. We didn't get to land too many, but that was one that we landed. Huge damage. And at this point, these foul plays do a lot, bro. Drapion's not known for its bulk. Sableye, oh, of course it's on super low health anyway. I figured the Sableye would be kind of decent in the back at this point, so I decided to shield it, because the opponents played this in a certain way. I tried to commit to the Dazzling Gleam. By the way, I think Gleam is not correct at the minute. It's still taking 8 Shadow Calls to get to it. It's supposed to have an energy reduction. Even with Togetic, it takes 8 Fairy Winds. So I think they messed up Dazzling Gleam. I don't think it's buffed correctly, or maybe this is just the way it is. Maybe PvPoke's got it incorrect. I'm assuming PvPoke probably has it correct, and Niantic didn't buff it correctly. Or maybe it is the case that this is correct, but they didn't buff it as much as we thought they would. Anyway, it takes 8 to get the Dazzling Gleam, so it's not super fast. That is one thing that's a little bit disappointing about it. Anyway, Lapras comes in here. Yep, Clodsire. This is an amazing matchup for us, even if they have Stone Edge. Not really going to bother shielding this. I think this opponent's running an interesting moveset of basically double cheap moves. Sludge Bomb, Stone Edge. I was kind of surprised they got to this move really quickly here. I wasn't expecting it. I was going to overfarm a little bit more. I thought, like, is this a Sludge Bomb? It ends up being a Sludge Bomb. That's fine, we can just overfarm a lot. The opponent's shielding their Clodsire and staying in against Lapras, which is not a good match for them, so I can assume that they're pretty weak in the back. I decided to catch the Sludge Bomb on my Ghost. Of course, Ghost resisting Poison. Stone Edge coming in. I don't know why the heck you would Stone Edge there, because, like, Sludge Bomb would have been enough, but to each their own. Anyway, the opponent brings in for Alligator. We're down energy. We're going to YOLO the Dazzling Gleam. That does massive damage into the Gator. We farm it all the way down. In comes Mandibuzz. Dazzling Gleam for you. Oh yes, don't you worry, sir. We have a Dazzling Gleam in the back, waiting for you. Our finest 2025 Dazzling Gleam. We come in here, go for the move right away here. I could have committed to the Ice Beam. That would have been a little bit more smart, to be honest with you. A little bit smarter. I think I can just let this go at this stage. Farm it down with Dusk Noir, and we'll be in a very good position to win the game. We still have a shield. We can farm this all the way down, and we're about to hit this thing. We're about to hit this thing with the Dynamic Punch. The dynamism is off the charts. We're going to absolutely send this Clodsire back into its hole, and it's going to be good games well played. So yeah, we're hopping into the last battle. To give you guys my final thoughts here about the team. Once again, I do recommend trying maybe a different third Pokemon with this. You could potentially even try something like Sableye, Azu, which is a really good core. Sableye, Azu, Lapras. I think that could be kind of nice. Or you can basically replace Lapras in any team, right? So you could go Annihilate, Lapras, Basti, or Dugong. You could do like an ABB double ice water team. That's probably going to be very cringy and interesting. You could definitely do that. I personally think you could probably just go for a more balanced team of this. A little bit less ABB. Go for Lapras, go for Sableye. You could have Ape, like I said, which is a fighter ghost, or you can go for something a little bit more neutral. You could potentially do a ground type, like even buffed Swampert could be an interesting one to throw in there. It definitely opens up a few more weaknesses, maybe Diggersby to have a better answer to Drapion, and of course Morpeko. So, you know, you can definitely have a think about it. You can be sort of double weak to Charm, like sort of Lapras being your main answer to Charm in the team. And then you could have maybe like a Primeape and a Sableye. There's definitely a lot of different options with this team. This just so happened to be the team that I tried. I think these are like 3 of the highest ranked Pokemon, except for maybe Dusclops. I think is ranked a little bit higher than Dusk Noir. But again, I will say that's kind of cap in a way. I don't think that's really representative of how good it is. I don't think it's actually quite as good as some of the other ghosts in the meta. Anyway, as you can see, Lapras is doing very well into the Azu here. Azu will get off a Play Rough. They're going to rough us up a little bit here. We're going to get off Psywaves plus the Sparkling Aria. I think you always go for Sparkling Aria if you get one more move. Let me have a quick look at it. It's good to learn these things for sure. So, Ice Beam, 108 damage, 95 energy. Or sorry, 55 energy. Sparkling Aria is 96 damage for 45. So if you can only get off one more move, go for Ice Beam. Otherwise, it's more energy efficient to go for Sparkling Aria. Anyway guys, hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like, subscribe. Thank you everybody for watching. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Feel free to join our Discord in the description. And once again, big thank you to all our members, and thank you for all the support on the channel. Take it easy guys, have a good rest of your day, and I'll catch you all next time.